And welcome to our trading room. Fridays, of course, our Rabbit Hole Fridays, where we play with different indicators and where I mess with your mind a little bit. Not really, but a lot of Fridays really sideways trading, really tough trading sometimes. So that's why we initiated this Rabbit Hole Friday stuff. And I'm just waiting for my charts to finish loading. Poor computer can't keep things I got going on. Last week, I think it was Ron who asked for Williams percent R. So we'll take a look at that once my charts finish updating. Okay, here we go. Down the rabbit hole. Okay. Williams percent R. You know, it's funny. It's hard to figure out who has had more influence on traders since trading has become a little bit more computerized, whether it is Wells Wilder or Larry Williams. Okay, here we go. Williams percent R. We'll leave the parameters up here. Larry Williams, he lives in, oh shoot, where does he live now? He lives in the Caribbean. Oh my goodness, the name of the island just popped right out of my head. But he's a very personable fellow. I've corresponded with him in the past, and he answers his own emails and such, which I not necessarily expect. But he's a very nice fellow to converse with. Very smart fellow, obviously. He offers trading courses and a whole line of indicators. He has, like the Williams percent R, which has kind of become a standby with just about every trading platform nowadays. And he also has a whole slew of customized indicators. At any rate, Williams became very popular about, gosh, going on 40, has it been that long? He competed in a trading contest where he earned $1 million in a year. He mostly traded the 30-year bond, but the Williams percent R, which he developed, was his, if you will, for winning that trading competition. And ever since then, people have flocked to him for trading indicators. Williams percent R, let me make this a little bit bigger. See. Percent is essentially fast stochastics on steroids. There you go. When you start looking at different indicators, I'm sure you noticed already. I'm going to flip a few things around here. So let's put the Bollinger Suite. Panel. I'm going to put the down there. We're going to put percent R up here, and we're going to move the filter. Okay, we'll just rearrange things here a little, make it easier to see. You're probably going to, as you look at more and more, that they're all kind of fairly similar. You know, there's only so much you can measure in terms of price. Your MACD style indicators, which measure how two moving averages relate to each other. Then you have your oscillating type indicators, such as stochastics, Williams percent R, that attempt to measure change in price on a scale of 0 to 100. So there's, like I said, there's really, they're going to fall into one or two or three categories because there's really only so much that you can do with price. At any rate, here's Williams percent R. And like I said, it's very much stochastics on steroids. Percent R, by the way, if you're ever wondered what the R stands for, it stands for range. What the indicator did to do with the indicator was try to find where the market is most likely to turn. So you'll find that unlike other indicators, percent R will go to extremes very, very quickly. And you'll probably notice that with percent R, all the new platforms, it has, there's a negative value associated with each of the values in the right margin. That's because originally plotted in other words, it would be the mirror image of what you're seeing here. So these lines would actually be printing up here. These lines would actually be printing down here. And it seemed to confuse the so the programmers, the platform providers, eventually just threw some minus signs in here, percent R, so that it reads more or less like other indicators. You have your sold zones. Oh, actually, these are, looks like they're set at 75 and 25. Typically, for percent R, you have zones at 20 and 80. Not sure why Ninja set theirs a little tighter, but I will leave that to you. We'll let them update that. Oh, or did they? Oh dear, I'm going to break something here. Okay. All right, so when percent R gets above 20, it's considered overbought. When it gets below 80 or negative 80, it's considered oversold. There's lots of different ways that you can trade percent R. I'll show you a few of them. It's actually not bad for helping with your timing. The most extreme method of using percent R, and this is going to vary on mean Renko bars versus time-based charts, so you can experiment with both. But the purists, and I don't remember exactly how Larry Williams did it with his trading card, a book, How I Made $1 Million Trading, which you can read as well. But percent R, perhaps more than any other trader, tries to spot turns in the marketplace. So when the percent R hits the 0 value, you would look to sell. When it hits the negative 100 value, would look to buy. Now you'll notice that a lot of times it's actually not that far off the mark. So it hits zero right here, and then a few bars later, the market turns. We hit negative 100 here, and a few bars later, it turns. And then we have our little hiccups along the way, our little pullbacks for each time the market hits a negative. I haven't done it myself, but I do know of time-based people charts or 15-minute charts or hourly charts who will trade percent R this way. When it hits zero, that's it. They look for a sell signal. They'll sell, the really aggressive ones will sell any bar that closes lower than the open. And likewise, when it hits negative, they'll buy any bar above its. So that's one way to trade percent R. If you're just scalping for a couple of ticks, it'd probably even work here, where you can just buy and try to gain 2 or 3 ticks and get out. Now that may work on a market like the treasury bonds, where you're trading at 30 bucks a tick, 31.25 a tick. It's not going to do so well in a market like the NASDAQ or the mini. You're not going to recover enough money to pay your commissions. Then traders said, well, what else can we do to refine the signal here a little bit? And that's when they introduced the overbought and the oversold zones. So the other way of trading percent R, your typical method of, okay, the market becomes overbought. When it becomes oversold, then I will short it. So that would kind of put you in that area. It becomes oversold. When it comes out of the oversold region, then I will buy it. And you can see in both those instances, excuse me, not too badly as well. But you still have little bumps and grinds through here that they become overbought, or pardon me, oversold them, and there's no fall. And this is because, of course, the market spends so much time going sideways, right? So then traders introduced yet another methodology, and they said, well, hey, let's watch the 50% level. Let's watch the halfway point. Where's my, there they are, constant lines. So let's throw in a line at negative 50, and we'll make that line a little bit easier to see. And I want this to be on. Let it finish low. Okay, then what they would do is they would, a lot of times they would eliminate the overbought and oversold regions. And they would introduce this 50% level, and they would use it much the same way. The indicator was above, come back here, above the 50% level, they considered the market bullish. If it was below the 50% level, they considered the market bearish. If the market crossed the 50% level, they would look, if it crossed level, they would look for a buy. Now, this actually starts to add some effective using Williams, especially it's the type of indicator that works especially well when you team it with something else. As a standalone, it's a tough tool to trade. But when you add something like, well, even the Bollinger Suite as a confirmation tool, or even as you use it with your Raptor. And again, I'm just showing you this on the Raptor, but you can use it on any of the tools. But the Raptor, we have our trading bands, which gives us our directionality. If you used it in Raptor and you looked for opportunities, or when the indicator became bullish, you can see that a lot of times it will actually perform before the signal. And even though this number 3 signal did give you a little bit of heat, it did get up and find its profit objective. The signal was confirmed when it crossed, when the Williams percent R crossed, became more bullish. We produced another number 3 signal. So using it in conjunction with something, maybe like the Bollinger Suite, maybe like the Raptor trading bands, will thin out a lot of the bad signals, and it will actually make the indicator a lot more effective. So I don't mind using it this way at all. But as you probably suspected, that's not the way that I use it. So let me show you the I have used percent R in the past. Okay, first off, you probably noticed that a lot of indicators will default to a 14 period. And you've probably, maybe you haven't wondered, why 14? It seems like a rather odd number. There's 20 trading days in a month. Why are they using 14? Well, that Wells Wilder is the one who can be blamed for that one. 14 is half the lunar cycle. 28 days in a lunar month, it's half of that. Go figure. But for that reason, 14 turns out to be the default a lot of times on trading platforms. So now you know. Actually, we'll look at lunar cycles one day because Indicator Warehouse is our trading tool. And a little bit into GAN and the stuff, which will really give you a headache. But back to Williams percent R. When you're experimenting with an indicator and you want to tweak the values, because that's where the power of an indicator is going to come into play. Sometimes the default values will work because the designer has already done all the heavy lifting for you. Indicators like MACD, indicators like stochastics, indicators like RSI. The programmers, whether it was Wilder or Lane or Apple, or Appel, sorry, they have already done all the heavy lifting. They've crunched all the numbers. They've kind of refined the indicator working point. The defaults value in those instances are a good place to start. But when you're experimenting, I find it easier to go with extremes to see how the indicator responds. So if the default value is 14 and I want to speed it up, I'll probably cut it in half. There's no point in going to a value like 15 or 12 or 10 because that's not going to do. And my default values for indicators such as this, if I can't think of any other number for any good reason, I want a Fibonacci number. And again, there's no reason why. It just something I've defaulted to. So half of 14 is 7. The closest Fibonacci number is, let's throw an 8 on it. It's like, poor computer can hardly keep up here this morning. Okay, Carl, I see your question. I'll do a little detour here in a moment, and I'll answer your question. Okay, so here is Williams percent R on the half value of 8. And so we start looking at, how does the indicator respond? And you can see, well, if we thought 14 produced too many signals, 8 is catching every single turn, right? And I think it's become too sensitive. So the other way, we're gonna reverse, and we're gonna increase the values now. Now, before I do that, Carl asked a question here, and I get this question all the time, and it's about the trade manager. Is the trade manager available for Ninja 8? No, it is not. Now, for those of you who have purchased the trade manager, rest assured, when and if we're ever able to produce a stable version of the trade manager, you will receive your upgrade. Now, Indicator Warehouse is a conduit for I don't program the software. Adam never programmed the software. We that come to us, sometimes we will find programmer, but we do software. Just as Walmart doesn't make the blender that you buy, doesn't make the tool or gadget or that you buy. We're an online retailer, if you will. The programmer is responsible for upgrading a trade manager. Unfortunately, and this is a big unfortunately, because believe me, this headache all the way around, not just for you, but it has been a headache for all involved. He cannot reprogram it for Ninja 8. When Ninja launched Ninja 8, they an upgrade. It wasn't like they did a cosmetic upgrade or totally rebuilt the platform from the ground up. Most of this was relatively easy and straightforward to reprogram for the new platform. And all our software had to be rebuilt from the ground up. Unfortunately, NinjaTrader did something with their strategies. The strategies are the part of NinjaTrader that allows the order execution. This is your strategy window here. Unfortunately, they did something that it consistently conflicts with the trade manager. He's been working on it for well over a year. He hasn't knocked all the kinks out of it yet. Where send it to you. If I send it to you, you will send it back. You will not be happy. So what's the solution? Well, there's three solutions. Solution number one, the trade. Even though it's this tiny little box here, the trade calculator does pretty much everything the trade manager did, with two exceptions. With the trade calculator, you cannot preset your entry. You have to wait for your entry line, your proposed entry line, to get to the price that you want. Then you initiate your order. Now your orders are live. You can turn your trade calculator off and just trade accordingly, right? The other thing that trade calculator will not do is it will not auto trail your stops. So those are two features the trade manager had that the trade calculator does not. The reason the trade calculator does not is the trade calculator indicator based, not strategy based. That's why it sits on your chart and not in the margin. The upshot to that is the trade calculator cannot be broken. It will never snag. It will work seamlessly. All right, so all the problems that we're having with Ninja 8 and the Trade Manager are non-existent on the trade calculator. And the trade calculator, you know, it allows you to change your risk parameters. Like I said, it does everything trade manager except allow you to preset your entry or auto trail your stops. So that's option number one. As a trade manager owner, you can get the trade calculator at a 70% discount. Where essentially that just barely covers our costs on the thing. It's kind of our way of saying, okay, here's a patch to get you over the hump until Trade Manager reprogrammed. And honestly, it's been a year. I am not holding out a whole lot of hope that he will ever figure out how to put Trade Manager on Ninja 8. Option number two, stay with. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Ninja 7. I mean, they say I don't understand that. The Ninja 8 is supposed to have some performance upgrades. I honestly don't notice them. The cosmetics, you know, are a little bit different, but Ninja 7 are hardly ugly. It's not like we're going, you know, Windows 98 to Windows 10, right? The graphics are just fine. Ninja 7 is still supported. Ninja 7 is the most stable platform that Ninja offers. If it were not for everybody constantly writing me saying, why are you still using Ninja 7? Why are you not using Ninja 8? I'm supposed to be using Ninja 8. I would be using Ninja 7. Third thing that you can do, and it doesn't cost you a nickel, is you can just use the chart trader. So you want to short below here, you right click, you throw an order in, you want your stop right here, or your profit order right down there, you want your stop loss up here. Just use the chart trader. Is it as efficient as using something like the trade calculator where you can control your risk a little bit better? No. But if you don't want to spend any more money on your trading, then stay with Ninja 7 or use the chart trader. And like I said, if we ever get the programmer to send us a Ninja 8 version, you will be the first to have it. I guarantee it. But right now, it's not looking very good. I won't beat around the bush. He just can't figure it out, and where it sits. All right, back into the rabbit hole now. So we tried speeding up the indicator. It didn't work. So the default was 14. Let's double it. That's 28. The nearest fib value is 34. Tommy's asking, how about trailing stops in Trade Manager as independent indicators? Tommy, if you can figure that out, you send me an email, because we can make that happen for you. With the trade calculator, and I went over the trade calculator on one of our Rabbit Hole Fridays. So if you go to our YouTube channel and just back up on the Friday sessions, I go into the trade in depth between different indicators. So actually any indicator that you can plot on your chart. So let's say you want to plot a parabolic. Where'd they go? Right there. So you want stops. Come on. Okay, the trade calculator, you turn it on. By default, it goes to the ATR. So you can roll through here. You can roll to buy stop, buy limit, buy. Same thing on short side, sell market, sell stop, sell limit, and you just use the wheel of your mouse. Like I like the stop orders myself. So you hover over buy to turn the buy on, you hover over sell to turn the sell on, and you can see by default we're running an ATR stop. But let's say we wanted to run parabolics as a stop. So I hold, I turn on stop on indicator, I hold my shift key and I click on, I let go of the shift key, and now Trade Calculator will figure everything based on my parabolics. And you can see it adjusts the position size. See, oh, there you go. See, it's adjusting between 2, 3, and 4 contracts depending on where the parabolic risk parameters are. Didn't want to risk that much now, so I can dial it down maybe just to 2% of my capital. And the trade calculator will automatically adjust my position size relative to selected, in this case, parabolics. You can also select a horizontal line. You can plot a horizontal line on your chart, or you can just run a default fixed tick stop. And here too, you can adjust it. Question here about the trade manager. Carl's asking, thanks for your response. I forget, but was the trade manager included in the purchase of the Raptor, or did one have to purchase separately? Well, most people pick up the Raptor as part of a bundled package. What we have done in the past, we have negotiated with the programmers. We want to include your software in a bundle, so give us a discounted price and we can package everything together. You know, retailers do this all the time. And the Raptor, if you bought the Raptor system, you probably got not only the Raptor tool, but you got things like the logic counter, you probably got the trade fork or the day ranger or both, the trade manager. Now the Raptor bundles are coming out with the trade calculator. All right, let's get back to playing with our indicator. Okay, so what you can see with the Williams percent R is that it seems to have smoothed things out quite a bit, hasn't it? Usually what we're looking, notice how we were looking at before the zones, right? So above here is bullish, below the 50%, bearish. Okay, that's looking promising. The indicator becomes bullish here where we get this number 2 signal, and a lot of times we shy away from the counter trend signal. But if you use the percent and your Bollinger Suite, that kind of led some credence for 2 signal, and you can see a very nice little move higher. Here we have a hard edge bounce signal and percent R dipping below the 50% level, and the Bollinger Suite in sync with that. And this signal right here, it didn't print as a hard edge bounce because the clouds were slightly out of sync, but that's for hard edge bounce. And that also working out pretty well. Okay, it looks like we're making some progress here. The other way of trading Williams percent R is to, and I forget who actually noticed this first, but at any rate, there's a fellow, and I should at least honor him by remembering his name. Where's my book? Oh, I don't see it. Okay. He that when the indicator, when percent R got into these extreme territories, the market necessarily reversed, was very often the case, but would actually begin trending. So that was a little bit of a twist on Larry Williams' initial use for the indicator, namely that usually when it gets to these 0 values or these 100 values, people would look to start to buy, or they would look to start to no. When it gets to 0, that's when I look to buy, and when it gets to negative 100, that's when I look to sell. This works surprisingly well. So you have, here, let's roll this back here. Let me show you a way to do this. You're essentially going to be looking at a retest, just like when we do when the market is in a sideways trading range, right? If it's in this little sideways trading range, here we go. We look for a breakout retest, and then we look for a buying opportunity. Okay, this buying opportunity didn't go very high probably because the bands are in a downtrend, but it shows you what I mean about a test and a retest. Well, you can do the same thing with percent R. If it comes down, now it's because we're below the 50% level. It's broken and gone down here to the 0. It's bounced back up. Testing, we're bouncing back. Now we are retesting. Let me roll this over so that you can see what it should look like when it unfolds. We're below the 80% value. We are testing the downtrend, if you will. Okay, now we know that when the market hits the extreme point, it's likely to reverse, which it did. So this is the retest. Now we're looking for an opportunity that the market is going to resume the trend, just like with the channel breakouts, exactly like the channel breakouts. So there's the test. There's the retest, suggest in fact the market will try to head lower, and here comes our signal to short. Our number 1 signal to short in there, and the market goes down. All right, let's try it the other way. Okay, so here the market enters the upper zone. We're above negative 20. testing. Ooh, here now is our retest. Okay, and now we're going to look for a buying opportunity. So you could either say, okay, well, I'm going to do a second push entry on this signal right here, or you can wait for a new signal. But the Williams percent R is telling you the market tried to reverse, right? Because it hits 0, it tried to reverse, but it's not going to reverse. So we got the test, the retest, and the indication that the market will try to take off in this direction. Okay, not yet. All right, here we go again. We have the test. We're in that upper zone, that upper 20th percentile. Here now is the retest. We're back in the same region. There now is our signal to buy. Essentially, it's a very, very number 2 signal. We're looking at a broader retest of the low, or you just treat it as your generic buy signal that's backed up with your percent R. Let's see how that worked out. Okay, here we go. So it's a number 2 signal, and there you go. You get some decent follow through on it. This works, like I said, surprisingly well for your timing. It can get a little confusing when the market starts bouncing around like this, because you got to go back and you got to say, okay, which was the test, which was the retest? But when the market comes out and it tries to go back in, then that is percent R trying to tell you that, okay, we're going to give it another go. If you wanted to be extra careful, you can take out a nearby nearby high or low. So for instance, here we are now to the short side. Okay, here's our retest, right? We broke out a retest signal. I would look to short below this value here. This is similar to when we were looking at the Donchian channels. How the extreme points, very often we want the yield in order to try to keep us out of the wrong side of a trade, right? We wouldn't just blindly start selling because the indicator went back this way. The market proves that it has the momentum to continue higher or lower. So in this instance, rather than just blindly shorting because the indicator said short, by making it wait for it to take out a significant, we actually do the sideways nonsense there. Okay, so here we are again with the market getting into that upper tile. Here is the retest. So once more, I would either wait for a signal or I would make it take out that high. And this goes back also to our normal price structure that we focus on. Hold on a second here. Where we have these sideways ranges developing, we get the breakout, we get the retest, right? Same kind of, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to notice that as we do these different indicators and everything, that there really isn't that much unique between them all. They all kind of focus on the same thing. They focus on what interpret it differently, or they'll compare what price is doing, the average prices is comparing to moving averages. Okay, so this retest did not work out. Okay, so here now is the test again, right? Because this, we actually dipped below the 50% level. We've come back up above the 50%. We're bullish. Okay, now we're looking for the retest. Where's the retest? No retest. Are we going to get a retest? No, no retest. Now this little failure you may actually get a little bit more bearish on, but I won't. We'll keep it simple today. Okay, now we're in the percentile. There's, oh, don't run away. Oh, okay. Now we're above, so we can actually anticipate a retest, right? We can anticipate that if this indicator heads lower, prices will also head lower. Okay, the indicator is saying we're going to head lower. We're going to wait for frame price and or wait for a signal. And it's backing away. So you can see not a bad tool for helping you stay or try the market. Let's see how we're doing here. So here was our test and retest. So this is a test. See, this is the only downside. Like I said, it can get a little bit. The indicator is right. Percent R is above the 50 in the upper 50th percentile. So it is bullish. Our Raptor band is bullish. I would like to see the indicator dip low. And perfect. Okay, now I can throw my buy order above there, and I can look for a hard edge bounce. Test, retest. Yeah, retest. Okay, because prices should go higher. It's the number 3 signal. There we go. We're a little bit of, get my exit. Actually, we'll get that down there. Keep it out of the way. And we'll get our profit order in. And while we're waiting for that, Tommy's asking the stops that the trade manager could be placed on a chart independent of trade manager, trailing ATR, chandelier, etc. Yes, sir, absolutely they can. You can plot, well, your ATR is with your, where is it? With your trade calculator. It defaults, and you can make it more. You can plot your chandelier on your chart, chandelier as your stop, most definitely. Plot parabolics, Bollinger Bands, any. In that respect, trade calculator is more useful than, because you can, any indicator you can plot on your chart you can use as a stop. Okay, now I kind of lost track. Test and retest. Test, retest, retest. Oh, this is a test. I might have gotten in at the roll. We'll let it go anyways. I'll keep my stops cozy, because if we start trading in this lower 50th percentile, okay, here comes the retest, we should be all right. There we go, we're up at 0, so we can expect, we'll attempt to turn, but we can expect a little bit of a trend. Come on, get up there. Doesn't look like we missed a whole lot trading wise today. It looks like we've been over the same numbers all morning, which seems to be typical for Friday. Well, they're struggling a bit, but maybe, just maybe, we can get a little momentum. The Bollinger Suite was in sync there. There we go. There we go. Okay, get the stops up to break even, and hooray for us. We hit our profit target. Look at that. It's a very interesting indicator in this respect, and I've never tried to stretch it out further yet. Well, here, let's take a few moments and do that. So the next fib value would be 55. Like I said, you can experiment. You can base charts as well. It will respond differently on a time-based chart versus a mean Renko. But I have to say, I like the way these indicators work on mean Renko bars. That was part of the reason for developing the mean Renko bars anyways, was to make the indicator responsive. Because there's a lot of noise that occurs on a tick-based chart or a time-based chart that sometimes is a little difficult to see past. All right, well, you know what? Not bad, not bad at all. You can see we ignored your signals because we get into the upper percentile, not until right here. So here was the test, retest, and that occurred, well, about the same into our trade. And then the market can see about here to the short side. So here the market had, so this is the retest. Okay, no follow through, no harm, no foul. What about here? Oh, here's the test. Well, the retest actually came right there, which would have been right about here. Not much follow through on that. So maybe the larger setting is a little bit too slow, because at the faster setting, we did catch this reverse through here. And leave it to you to play with. You can try different values and whatnot. Yeah, Carl says, go back to Ninja 7. Honest, Carl, there is absolutely nothing wrong with Ninja 7. If Ninja 8 was not the front runner, and like I said, if people weren't asking me all the time, I would also be running Ninja 7. But I'm not one software all the time. I'm from the if it works, don't fix it school of thought. All right, so let's see, where are we at here? Are we going to get another buy? Here, we're going to do this. We'll throw the exit order out of the way, tighten that up just a bit. Use the trade calculator, keep our risk under control. Okay, let's bring the stops back up. Now I kind of lost track of my test and retest, and you may have to, you may have to resort to doing something like, okay, there's the test, there's the retest, there's the test, there's the retest, there's the test, there's the retest, there's the test. Oh, test. Oh, no, I think I got out of sync somewhere here. At any rate, we got to move all my arrows over one. No, but don't worry. I usually concentrate better on my trading than this. There's the test, there's the retest, there's the test, there's the retest, there's the test. Okay, it is a retest, good. Whew. And it's in sync with the Bollingers, and it's in sync with the trading band. And it's made a new high. So it's got a few things going for it. But you may end up having to resort to labeling your indicator this way so you don't lose track. At any rate, folks, if you have any questions, %R, please type away. I'm going to have them here shortly. Well, it is Friday for starters, and I have to catch a ferry. So if there's no questions, we're going to shut down the room here. Okay, now notice it's dipping below the 50%. I would expect a little bit of a hiccup here, and that will give me an opportunity to roll my stops. Okay, you see right there, I'm going to roll my stops because what the indicator is telling me is if it reverses from here and gets back down into this lower 50th percentile, I'm on the wrong side of the trade. I might as well get out. All right. Okay, gang. Have fun with that. Play around with it. If you have any questions, let me know. And I will talk to you on Monday. Have yourselves a great weekend. It looks like it's going to be nothing but sunshine here in the Pacific Northwest. We'll talk to you Monday for now.